Hey, so I haven't been in here for a little while, but I wanted to spend some time with you guys. And it's been a really, really busy week, and next week is just as busy. So I thought that I would come in now before I go to my next appointment and just say hi. And I've been thinking quite a bit about something that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. Oh, someone's sending me lots of love. Thank you. I really need that. Hey, who is there? Jess. Oh, hey, Jess. So I wanted to tell you a story actually about how I've been holding back who I am. So a little while ago, I went to my husband's work do, and going in and meeting people for the first time, the usual conversations come up, right? It's who are you? Who are you here with? What do you do? And then if you're parents, it will go into kids and parenting and that kind of thing. So going to a Christmas party kind of prepared myself for this situation and scenario. And when I was walking home, my husband said to me, he was like, why did you hold back on what you do? Because a couple of people asked me what I did, and I said I was a coach, and that was it. I said I was a coach. And he was like, why did you just say you were a coach? Why didn't you, tell them what you do? Why didn't you tell them you were writing a book? Why didn't you tell them, that you actually do more than just coach? People just brush that off. He's like, you do more than that. Why didn't you tell people? No one had ever asked me that before. And it was a really unconscious thought. And I wanted to know how many of you have been through this. So what came out of my mouth as I was actually processing the reason that I decided to do this, and do say hi when you come on and let me know that you're here. I'd love to know, we've got quite a few new members in here, so I would love to know who's with me, and and get your feedback on this as well. What resonates with you. So anyway, I'm walking along the road and David has asked me, why did I hold back on telling his work colleagues what I did and who I am? And the response was that, I'm buzzing away. My response was that, oh dear God, how do I stop this from, here you go, airplane mode, that works. It's on silent, but I can still hear it. So my response, for those of you that are still with me and have been waiting, was literally that I didn't want to be the asshole in the room that loves their job and triggers the shit out of everybody else at a Christmas party who doesn't love their job. So I minimized what I did, or at least how I made it sound when I just categorically said, I'm a coach. And I'd never actually thought of it before, but being in a room full of people who don't necessarily love what they do is pretty awkward. It's not, and I'm not saying that his work didn't love what they do, but I have encountered it multiple times that I get really excited, I get really passionate, I love telling people about what I do and the changes that I make. And literally, the words that I want to say when somebody says, so what do you do? My sentence is, I change lives. And I say it with such meaning. And people look at me as if I'm bonkers. And I've done it a couple of times with friends, friends' husbands who have said to me, Alison, what on earth do you do? Like talk me through this thing that you do. And I'm like, I change lives, literally. I change people's lives. I help them walk in their truth, find their purpose, get really, really clarity about how they feel, how they think, what they do as a response to that. And as a result, they love their lives. Their lives change, their relationship changes with themselves and then with other people. So Jess is saying, I go through it all the time. I always say I'm a mentor and brush over the intuitive part. Yes. Yeah. So I often find that people don't understand when I say I'm a coach or a business coach for intuitives and empaths. And again, I find it really interesting because people judge you very much on what you do. And finding a way to say what it is that you do confidently might be tricky. Finding a way to say what you do without feeling as though you're triggering other people might also be tricky. Because the other thing that I find is if I tell people what I do, it opens the floodgates for them to be able to require support. And at Christmas parties or any kind of like work function that isn't mine, any kind of work function, regardless of mine or not, I don't want to be there to coach. I don't want to show up and actually do my job. Not that I don't always do my job, but sometimes when you're walking into an environment where you can actually shut down ever so slightly that part of you that takes over when you're in your zone, is a really healthy thing to be able to do. However, this week, I know that I've got a few networking events and a few events where I have to show up and tell people what I do and how I do it. Now, in an environment where that is welcomed and expected, I flourish. But in an environment that is very, I guess, prescriptive in the theme of what is meant to be happening there. So any kind of networking events where people need to show up and tell everyone about their business, then understandably all good. But sometimes I feel that it is okay to not share everything of what I do with people. 2 reasons, I think. One is because I don't always want to be working. And I always am working, but I don't always want to be working. And the other one is that sometimes I actually want to be more interested in other people and what they do and how they do it than I want to be sharing what I do. And I know that when I'm passionate and standing in my truth and sharing what I do, it brings curiosity and people want to know. Or they judge you and walk away, which is absolutely fine because, you know, repelling and attracting is so necessary. And that's a big part of finding your people. However, I really, really like to sometimes not take that limelight, and that's okay. So although every opportunity when you meet someone new is an opportunity to get to know them and for them to get to know you and for you to share your business or your zone of genius or your passions, it's actually okay if every now and then you tune into what you're doing and you allow yourself to hold back, you know, and just enjoy that situation for what it is without having to bring everything of who you are into it. Because sometimes it just doesn't need it. And you feel that within yourself. So I found the exploration of this kind of topic and this thought process for me really, really interesting because I was holding back because I was triggering people, or at least I felt I triggered people with my passion. I loved it because certain people are curious, but actually sometimes I just wanted to switch off and not be seeking attention from other people, you know? I think when you do something that is totally off book, totally different from what the norm says, which is a regular 9-to-5, a regular corporate, even a typical business coach, which I'm not. I think that there is a level of understanding and expectation of who that person is when they show up. Somebody said to me the other day, would I now introduce myself as a best-selling co-author? And I was like, oh, hell no. No, not unless I was at a networking event and the book was actually relevant. Because I don't know what that would do to a group of people. I mean, nobody's ever actually introduced themselves to me as a best-selling author or as an author or as a writer, they always downplay it. And I guess there's a level of safety in there. You know, a lot of people like to stay safe, and they like to not blow their own trumpet. And there's a very vast difference between your confidence in that area around who you are and what you do, and being able to share that with the world in the most appropriate way where you feel really good about it, and then the aspect of you feel like you're an imposter, or you have the ability to feel like you're arrogant or over exaggerating, you know, or it's just unbelievable to you as to who you are and what you do. They're different situations. One of them needs work and the other one doesn't necessarily. So if you don't feel confident enough to introduce yourself to people with, you know, your best foot forward when you're in those situations that call for it, then that is where you need to work on that situation. But for me, I very much choose to hold back on who I am in certain situations, depending on, you know, what I need at the time or how I'm actually feeling, or it's no longer necessarily always about me. And for that particular night, being with my husband, you know, that was his work due. That was for him to shine. That was his place to talk about what he loved and introduce me to his people, not for me to take over and say, I've got a book coming out next week, and you know, I'm doing this job and I'm loving this and I'm so passionate. You know, that just wasn't the most appropriate thing for me to feel into for that event. However, I cannot tell you how excited I was to hear him say that I was underselling myself, and that he could see that, and that he was proud of me and wanted me to speak up and speak my truth and say all my crazy kooky, you know, business, mentoring, coaching, you know, talk about the Master Circle, the Accelerator, the book, my journey. It was really lovely to be acknowledged like that. And that to me made it even more special that I'd stepped back and held back on who I was in that particular situation. So I was holding back on who I was for all the right reasons in my mind, because everything played out in a beautiful way that allowed me to really explore and understand my feelings and the thought processes that I put into that. However, it doesn't mean to say that that's always going to be the right situation. So I would love to hear from each one of you, and I've got Jess, Eva, Brittany, Bonnie, Kylie, Marlene, Alice. My gosh, I've got a lot of you. Thank you so much for joining. I would love to know where you've been holding back on who you are and how you've been holding back on sharing that with people. I would really, really like to know. And I know Jess has already said that she goes through this all the time. She just says she's a mentor and brushes over the intuitive part. But, you know, some situations that's called for, because not everyone in this world is ready for me, you know? Think about that for a minute. You know, not everyone in this world is ready for me. If you say that to yourself, you will instinctively know when you walk into a situation the measure of the room. And when people are ready to hear about what you do, other people will not be ready for that. And it is up to you to be guided to your truth in that moment as to whether or not you fully include or exclude everything that you are and what you do. You know, if people are curious and they want to know more, if you feel a connection with them, if they're open, you know, if it's the right time, if you're just feeling really fired up and you go with those feelings. Hey, Michaela. So it would be wonderful to know where you think you've been holding back who you are, and go through this process of what led you to that conclusion. And was it the right one in those circumstances? Okay, so think about very clearly, what was the situation where you held back who you were? How did it make you feel? Did you put any thought into that situation before you went into it as to the reason that you were going to hold back on who you were? How did you gloss over what you do? And what was the response? How did that make you feel? You know, because I didn't in any way, shape or form regret holding back who I was, you know, and I know that if anyone was interested, you know, they know what I do through my husband anyway. Hey, hun, thank you for joining. So they can always go and look me up. They can always find my Facebook profile. They'll always see posts that each one of us likes. So, you know, there's always a route to finding more out about somebody that you're interested in, right? Especially on social media this day and age. But in that moment, it was totally appropriate for me, how I was feeling, who I was showing up as. You know, that night for me, I was showing up for my husband. I was showing up to be his wife. I wasn't showing up to be the intuitive business coach, the empathic business coach, you know, the business coach to intuitive and aspiring entrepreneurs. You know, I was showing up as his support at his work function. Okay, Michaela, just quickly jumping in, but I know I've been holding back my edge. Okay, I love being loving, but I'm here to fuck shit up. And I need to be disruptive. Darling, you need to know how you are seen. You are seen as disruptive in the most loving of ways. You are the disruptor. I definitely feel that from you. And I don't think that you've been holding back in your edge. I think you just went quiet for a little bit whilst you found your soulmate to fire you up even more. It's so exciting. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're bringing into this world next. Totally. And I think this is the other thing, is that you do hold back who you are until you find your completeness. You know, we're all evolving, we're all growing. And it's really, really important to identify with that at each particular stage and age. I mean, God, what was I when I first started out in my business? I was 3C coaching because I wasn't sure where my business was going. I thought it would be bigger than it was, in the sense that I would have training courses running out. I was working much more with organizations at the time. And also, it was easier to express to people, but it doesn't stop people showing up for you who are meant to be working with you. And when they show up and start working with you, your business evolves again differently, you know. And now more than anything, I have intuitive and empathic entrepreneurs wanting to start their purposeful businesses, wanting to work within their businesses and actually build themselves as much as their business, so that they become this person that can run a business in full confidence, in full self-awareness, in strength, and with intuitive guidance. You know, they really trust themselves, and it's incredible to see. It's really, really incredible to see. So if you have been holding back on who you are, and it's not for the right reasons, it's not because the situation has dictated it, it's not because you know that you need to be someone for someone else, it's not because you weren't feeling it, and that's okay. If it was because you don't have confidence, is it because you're not sure of who you are? If it is because you were scared or fearful or frightened, these are the situations in which you need to work on who you are and why you're holding back on who you are. I think it's only when you can fully appreciate and speak about who you are and what you do confidently, regardless of who's in the room, can you then start to say, it's my time to share this today or not? So you have to have accepted yourself fully and wholly in all of those ways to be able to determine who you get to share that with and what the purpose is behind sharing it, depending on the situation that you walk into. Hey, Anne. Hey, Helen. Thank you so much for being here. So for those of you that have just joined me, tell me where you've been holding back on who you are. What situations did you walk into? And how did you choose to hold back? And what was your reason behind it? So this is one of the things that I help people with in the accelerator. They work on themselves and their confidence. They work on their internal narratives as well as their external narratives, so that they know fully and wholly what their business is. They have confidence in their business structures, in their foundations, that no level of judgment or fear of showing up and being visible is possible anymore. It just doesn't exist in their accelerated world. So for those of you that are interested, I did an amazing, gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this still. I did an amazing opportunity. So for those of you that know, the Business Accelerator, the Conscious Creation Business Accelerator is the 12-week program. That is my 12-week business foundations program that helps people establish businesses, get clear on their offers, get clear on their client journeys, get really, really clear on who they are showing up as in business, how to build audiences, how to build a community, how to build themselves and their business, so that by the end of the 12 weeks, they've got structure, they've got clarity, they're feeling success, they're understanding how they're moving forward in their journey, and their business is taking shape, which is so, so important. Once you've graduated from the Accelerator, the Master Circle, the Accelerator Master Circle is the next stage in business amazingness. So the Accelerator Master Circle is a 6-month program for the graduates of the Accelerator, and it's an invitation-only program. However, I am doing the very first beta group in February. We start in February. So for those of you that are interested in starting in the Master Circle, you are so welcome to apply to come and join the Master Circle. This will be the only time you can join the Master Circle without having gone through the Accelerator. Okay, but because I can't stop giving on this, and because I can't contain the excitement I have for starting this Master Circle, you will get free access to the Accelerator before you start the Master Circle in February. So you will get a whole month, the whole month of January, to be in the group calls and to get the self-study material. But you will get the self-study material for good. So you get it once and you never need to go anywhere else again, because you've always got it. And I'll always be updating it. So you will always get the up-to-date Accelerator information. This will get you sorted and set up to begin the 6-month Master Circle program. So for those of you that are intuitive, purposeful, conscious entrepreneurs looking to accelerate yourself and your business, looking to get into a more aligned program that is deeper, that goes deeper, that gets you out there quicker, faster than ever before. It's like a quantum acceleration in business, the Master Circle, that is designed to literally skyrocket you and give you all of the tools you need to get yourself out there, to get yourself seen. So if you've been holding back on who you are and you are ready to make a massive change in 2019 for you, your gifts, your business, then you need to get in touch with me about having a conversation about the Master Circle, because it is going to blow your mind, okay? And I'm really, really excited about talking to you about that. So I will leave that here with you again. And for those of you that are interested, jump on and get a discovery call booked in. Just let me know and I can always get in touch with you. And we can get you booked in. And the sooner you get in, the longer you have with the self-study material for the Accelerator, and the longer access you have to me before we begin the Master Circle. I can't, honestly, this is like, if ever you wanted to get into a program that is going to absolutely and utterly blow your mind for a tremendous price and boost your business and yourself, then the Master Circle is the one that you need to try. Okay, right, I'm going to go because I have an appointment. Much love. Happy Friday. I can't wait to hear from you, speak to you, come back in here live. I'm going to be doing the Insight series soon. I'm going to be talking a lot more about doing some more trainings. We need to get talking about more business basics. And I'm really, really excited to sort something out to get you ready for 2019 as well. Right, so much love. Have an amazing day. Happy Friday, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.